Good evening. My name is Vicki Koerber. I am the County Commissioner, and I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, taking time out of their busy schedule. I know there's a lot of parents here with children also, and I think it's very important that we educate ourselves on what's coming down the pipeline, as Sheriff Rolfing had stated. There's a lot more to this than meets the eye. My part tonight is to let you know what I, as a commissioner, traveled up with Ron Schultheis, County Commissioner, and Bob Elmore the beginning of August to find out more about this legislation and House Bill 1438, which was passed the end of May by the Illinois General Assembly, signed into law by Governor Pritzker, and it's being touted as the most progressive in the country as we legalize marijuana. We are the 11th state to do such. So when we were up in Springfield, it was a day-long seminar. We heard from sales and business regulators. We heard from the executive director of the Illinois Sheriff's Association. We heard from the legislative director of the Taxpayers Federation of Illinois, as well as from HR, because marijuana use is going to affect us in the workplace also. I hope this material isn't dry. It applies to us as a county. As the county and the municipalities decide how we're going to, if we're going to regulate dispensaries and businesses within our community. So January 1st, 2020, as Sheriff said, this bill will take effect. It is for 21 and over, recreational use, and also for business setup where we can buy from a licensed dispensary. It's up to 30 grams of THC, 5 grams of concentrate, and 500 milligrams of THC infused, which is, again, what the sheriff talked about, your brownies, your gummy bears, any kind of that food product. The state actually set up a business model for this. You can become a craft grower and cultivator, where this is where we're going to grow. And by the way, if you are of that business model, it's a 7% sales tax that's going to be before you even get your product out the door. This is important, as you'll see down the line. You can be an infuser, which you extract the THC for your food products or candy-like products. You can be a transportation organization. We got to get the product to the businesses. And then you can be a dispensing organization, which right now we have 55 existing for medicinal purposes. They laid this blueprint years ago, setting up the medicinal dispensaries. So these folks already have that license. Right now they're applying for the license of a secondary business to sell retail. There's going to be an excise tax by the state. So where Sheriff Rolfing was talking about the black market and buying things illegally for a purchase price, 10% of your purchase price of a THC level of under 35% is going to be taxed at 10%. If your cannabis is infused, such as brownies or gummies, it's going to be a 20% tax. If you're going to buy cannabis that has a level of 35% or more, it's a 25% tax. Of course, medicinal is exempt, and this is in addition to any other taxes that the county or municipalities can levy, and they are allowed to levy. So while we can regulate business, we cannot prohibit recreational use. It's law, 2020. What does that mean? You can smoke it on the front porch, you can use it on the back porch, and you can personally grow up to 5 plants of 5-inch diameters, only if it's out of public view. We cannot ban any possession being brought into the county or municipality. If it is in a clear, tightly sealed container, out of the reach of a driver or a passenger, it's legal to bring in. So municipalities and counties can choose if they want to let this type of business in their community. So when we're talking about the taxes, a county municipality, the counties can levy up to a 3.75% in the unincorporated areas sales tax on a sale. And municipalities can do a quarter cent up to 3%. So let's assume we have a $100 sale of product. Depending upon which cannabis you're choosing, let's choose a 35% or more, that's a 25% tax. Don't forget the 7% before you even get the product into your business. That's 32%. Then a county or community can charge up to a 4% combined. So where are we at? On a $100 sale, we're paying $35, $40 just in sales tax. Talk about the black market, the cartels in Mexico should be dancing in the street. So what are we going to do with the state windfall? They're going to set up a cannabis regulation fund. 35% of the revenues are going to the general revenue fund. 25% are going into the Criminal Justice Informational Project Fund. They dubbed this as an R3 program: Restore, Reinvest, and Renew. And that is a program that is to target impoverished, high crime, and violent areas. It's going to be overseen by a 22-member board with Lieutenant Governor and Governor overseeing it. And in order for that area any areas to get those funds, they're going to have to apply for a grant. I don't think Hecker will be in the running for that. 20% will go into Department of Human Services Community Service Fund. And this is for substance abuse and prevention, mental health concerns. They're doing reactive instead of proactive. 10% is going into creating a budget and stabilization fund for backlog of unpaid state bills. 8% is going to a transferred local government distribution fund, and that 8% is going to come back to the counties and municipalities. How we're going to do this, we don't know, but we know there's 102 counties in the state. I don't know how many municipalities, but that's all going to be divvied up and then trickled down. That money is to be used to support crime prevention programs, training and interdiction efforts relating to illegal cannabis marketing, and driving under the influence. And then last but not least, 2% drug treatment fund, where it's going to go into public education, campaigns, support data, analysis, and the analysis that they're going to want is of public health impacts of legalizing marijuana. So the legalizing of all of this impacts at least 10 different governing agencies in the state. The governor, of course, he's going to oversee all this. The Department of Revenue, they're going to collect the taxes. Agricultural, because Department of Ag is going to have the task of licensing the businesses and authorizing labs testing for cannabis. We want our cannabis to be pure and clean. We want it to be free of pesticides, mold, fungi, bacteria. So now Department of Ag is going to have to make sure that these testings are set up. The Illinois Community College Board is also affected. And I haven't tracked this down yet, but I'm going to put two and two together and figure this. So this comes under the Department of Agriculture. The Community College Cannabis Vocational Training Pilot Program is to be launched out of this. So you have a community college, and this is a vocational training program. Vocational is hands-on. Department of Agriculture oversees the products that we grow. Are we saying that we're going to have community colleges doing test pilot of how to grow cannabis? Illinois State Police are greatly affected. They are charged with background checks of the businesses, reviewing the security plans of the entities. Now, I had a question, reviewing security plans, why? Why Illinois State Police? Because at the end of the day, a business will add up their receipts, and what is the norm? They take it to the bank. Remember, marijuana is not legal federally. If you take it to a bank that's insured by federal funds, FDIC, you cannot put your funds there. You cannot do the banking. So I'm taking it, reviewing the security plans, they're going to have a vault on site. Criminal history record expungement. And Sheriff, I'm sure glad that you didn't touch on this, but it's over 770,000 records of 30 grams or less nonviolent criminal acts, as long as they didn't sell it to anybody under 21, that will have to be expunged by the year 2025. So that means if you're not digitalized, you dust off the old boxes, and you've got to get through those records to expunge anything that was 30 grams and less. Department of Health is going to be affected. They are in charge of the warning uses on the product of marijuana. Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, they are actually setting up low-interest loans to the social equity applicants. Department of Human Services will be charged with mental health, drug treatment, prevention, public education, and collecting data that has impact of legalizing recreational use of cannabis. And then we have the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, which will oversee that R3 program we talked about earlier. So what about the windfalls of all of this revenue? The Department of Revenue predicts 57 million tax dollars by 2020. Now, this is with taxing, the application fees, and the licensing. By 2021, they estimate 140.5 million in just the sales. The Department of Revenue believes this could generate, by fiscal year 22, 253.5 million, the next year 323.5 million, and by 2024, we're looking at $375.5 million. So locally, what does this mean? Right now, I have talked to both mayors in the city of Waterloo and Columbia. We have an option to opt out, meaning we do not have to accept brick and mortar sales of marijuana. I can tell you, talking with Mayor Hutchinson, the Committee of the Whole will meet this coming Monday at City Hall in Columbia at 7 p.m. to discuss this very topic. I encourage you to either attend the meeting or reach out to your alderman and let them know how you feel. City of Waterloo is going to have a public forum set for October 15th at Waterloo City Hall. Please, again, reach out to the mayor or the City of Waterloo alderman and let them know how your feelings are on this matter. I can tell you that for myself, before I became county commissioner, I was the county coroner. I have walked those trenches. I've held hands of many, many family members that have lost loved ones to an addiction and a drug overdose. My worst accident that I have ever handled was on Route 3 South, where it wiped out an entire family. The father, the mother, and the baby girl in the back seat, and sent 2 servicemen, workplace service, that were on a late call to the hospital. And the only thing that came back in toxicology was marijuana. So as far as I'm concerned, I would like to see our county opt out, and I'm going to be vocal about that because I believe my leadership charges me with the health and safety and welfare of everybody I represent. Please reach out to your respective communities and leaders and let them know. Thank you.